Welcome in to elementprep.com into the top 5 with star running back from Glenbard South, Eric Seals. He needs a new shirt. So if you want Eric Seals to
I want to.
school,
I want to. No, I'm gonna tell him. I want to wear a Carmel shirt.
He's let the cat out of the bag.
I've not said that.
Corsairs are team number 5.
Okay. Yeah, I did say
Countdown.
that. I did say that. Well, they can see the title of this. They know.
Okay. And so Eric fell in love with you guys last year.
I did.
And so he wants to be able to wear a Carmel shirt every day of the week, a different one.
Okay, I didn't say all that. But I didn't say that about any other school, and I'm not going to. So it's not like I'm saying this out of every podcast. Carmel, I want to wear a Carmel shirt.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got that settled. The other reason, other than just, he loved the way the team looked, he likes the way they play. Because like a lot of these other Catholic schools that we've talked about, Carmel doesn't, spread out with 4 wide receivers very often. In fact, they've got their entire backfield back. Jordan Koss, Michael Panico, and their big blocking back is Matt Mayer. Just to show you the kind of stuff they could do, they played St. Charles East last year. 530 yards on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty okay.
That's pretty okay.
And it's even better when you got all 3 of those guys back.
Yep.
So the question is, what makes Carmel's offense really go? Because obviously, when you look at their schedule, they play, all these schools, JCA, Marist. They're actually going out of state. They're going to play Minnesota school.
Yep.
But when they play these top teams, what makes them good enough to run the ball like this on good teams?
I mean, without a doubt, anytime you're running the ball like that, you have a strong detail in your line, your offensive line. So
Assignment blocking.
Obviously, you can have, Bo Jackson in your backfield, but if he's not getting, not pressure, but if the line is not pushing those guys back, then it's not going to be a very good day for that running back.
Bo knows breaking tackles.
Yeah,
though.
And Bo broke everything else in his body. So, Ooh, I love Bo. But obviously, they have a strong detail in their offensive line. Having all 3 running backs is just going to be a huge advantage. Last year, they went down to St. Rita. They lost to St. Rita in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was at St. Rita.
Yeah, it was at St. Rita, and I remember picking that game. I picked Carmel without a doubt, a team I went hard for the whole year.
They got skunked.
They got beat up.
Nothing.
They got beat up.
So what went wrong for Carmel in that football game?
I think, always being young is always going to be hard when you're going up against a veteran team, a team that, the Chicago Catholic League plays, I want to say, a little different football than what they're doing in the East Suburban League. And
they're more physical.
Yeah, they're real physical. And
Mr. Akui had himself a day.
Yeah, I think they got popped a little bit. And, in high school, you get hit real hard, kind of don't want to play anymore. In the NFL, you're paid to keep playing. Right. So I think that happened a little bit. And, being seniors, when you the way you play as a junior versus the way you play as a senior, no matter what, is always going to be different because you know that that's your last year. I don't care if you're a blue chip recruit going to Texas. There's still something about your senior year in high school because football in high school, there's nothing like football in high school. So I think the Corsairs are going to come out a little differently when they play against some of these top teams.
Their only other loss last year was to Cincinnati Elder, and they played some football in Ohio.
Yep.
And so do you think that was a disadvantage for them to look back at their schedule and be like, no one in the state can touch us?
Yeah.
Were they overconfident?
No, it's not even that. We talked about this a little bit earlier in one of the episodes of the podcast about playing out of state.
Yep.
You see a lot of the private Catholic schools play out of state. It's something that they're known for doing. I'm half and half on it. Half of me likes it because you're seeing different talent, you're seeing different people, and you're getting a chance to, expand, what your team gets to see. The other half of me, kind of what you said earlier, just dominate in the state. We're a decent enough state in football where if you dominate in the state, you're pretty good.
Right.
And just take over everybody in the state.
Well, Carmel, not that I dismiss having a state title, but they only have 1.
2. They have 2, right?
Right.
Am I wrong?
I've got I've got one.
Okay,
I've got
maybe I'm wrong.
only one trophy.
2003. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yep. Or 2004. One of those years.
And so, to me, you know, it's not like they're on the level program-wise of a JCA or a Mount Carmel or in East St. Louis. So why don't you establish yourself here? I mean, they could have, you know, played Mount Carmel, you know, or, you know, instead of Cincinnati, you know, and this year they're playing the school from Minnesota, you know. And again, not that Marist, I don't know if Marist is going to be as good as they were last year. And Joliet Catholic, you know, who knows it. And so and so to me, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens in that first game at Joliet Catholic. But after that game, they might be on cruise control the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And, you know, they might enter the playoffs not really knowing what they have.
Yeah. Well, you know, comparing Carmel to the talent across the state, if you have your different groups, I would put them in the A group, but I would put them towards the bottom of the A group of elite teams. They make the playoffs year in and year out. You know, they make solid runs.
Programs. You're not talking about just this year. You're talking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, programs. So, you know, looking at their conference, you expect them to be 1 or 2 between them or JCA.
Yeah.
So that's what happens every year. Again, when we talk about Joliet Catholic earlier in the podcast or one of the early ones, I hate that matchup the first week because, again, it's not always about who's the best team. It's sometimes who just, you know, doesn't look so sloppy and isn't making all those mistakes.
I think it's got to be big advantage to Carmel because JCA's replacing so many guys.
Yeah.
That first week to have that whole backfield back, which is the backbone of their offense.
Yeah. But it's in JCA, though, right?
It is.
Yeah, last year was in Carmel. And that was a close game. That's I remember.
Field goal game.
Well, not only that, I remember there was like 30-plus points scored in the first quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
ridiculous. But so it should be another great game, a game I would love to make. I would love to make a lot of games.
Right? So when we come back, we will talk about Corsairs and what's their outlook for the playoffs. What class are they going to be in?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that with Eric Seals. I'm Skylar King. You're watching IllinoisPrep.com. Welcome back in, IllinoisPrep.com. Team number 5 in our countdown, the Mundelein Carmel Corsairs, with their head coach, Andy Bitto. So I guess the question is, we think that there's a good chance if they get by Joliet Catholic at Joliet Catholic, no easy task, this is going to probably be a 9-0 football team.
Yeah.
They look like 7A. And so, I mean, really, if they're 9-0, there's about a 75% chance they're going to be on the opposite side of the bracket of the still-to-come Glenbard West squad.
Yep.
So,
do you think that's the biggest squad to think about in 7A?
I mean, I think it's got Lombard West. We'll obviously talk about them. I mean, they lost Borello, but they got Hibben back at receiver.
Yep.
They return.
He's just a junior too, right? I believe so.
That sounds correct.
Yeah.
They bring back their quarterback that filled in at the end of the year last year, and obviously when you talk about that defense, especially up front,
yep.
I think not many schools have. In Illinois history, probably have the talent up front that Lombard West has right now.
Oh, yeah. But you're saying if they go 9-0, they'll be on the other side of the bracket, so they won't have to worry about them. Yeah.
And again, we talked about it. It looks like East St. Louis, you know, unless they do make a special request to be bumped up, there's no way they can be 7A.
Yeah, yeah. Just on the student population alone.
Yeah, closer to 5A. Yeah, closer to 5A than 7A. And so, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Wheaton South is not going to be in the mix this year.
Yeah.
And so
I don't think a lot of people think that, though. I think we'll be I think we're one of the only ones who probably think that.
I mean, they got a quarterback transfer, but I mean, Matt Rogers is gone. Titus is gone.
The whole offense.
They're decimated by graduation.
Yeah. That's hard.
And I mean, you got it, and you know, Lake Zurich got beat up. I mean, losing that running back.
Losing Brimley.
he was.
That was a pounder.
Yeah. And so it's hard for me to believe that unless there's some kind of serious injury or some team really improves at a dramatic rate, that we're not going to see Carmel and Glenbard West duking it out in Champaign.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it should be interesting. Seeing if they get matched up against again against a team like St. Rita. That can always, there's certain teams that,
well, it's, they're
going to come back.
Styles.
Yeah.
If
huge style difference.
Rita might just be that team that has Carmel's number.
Yeah. Well, we know that they'll have to establish the running back, losing both their two running backs,
right.
Akui, and I forgot the name of the gentleman behind him, but both of them are gone. And so, you're right. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them. I think with the running backs coming back and the program as it is, I think they have a good chance to come back. Probably looking at, man, they got to at least make it to the semis.
I mean, since you saw them, I never actually saw them in person last year.
But you will this year. You'll fall in love too.
What is it that you'd say to take that next step to be a legit title threat this year? What do they need to improve based on from last year?
Honestly, I don't think they have to make a change. I think
I'm not saying to change. I'm just saying, they need to, if they would have tackled a little better against Rita, they would have.
No, I purely think it was an experience, and that's not something that you're doing different. You're more well versed in the plays and what's going on, how you should be as a team. So
just haven't been there before.
That's what I think, and so I think especially with these three guys coming back, they're going to spearhead the team to make sure they're in the right attitude and right thought process. So I think they'll be good to go if they just continue what they're doing. So
all right.
I'll be rooting for them again this year.
There you have it. The Carmel Corsairs, big Week 1 matchup against JCA. Maybe a sneaky Week 8 matchup against Marist. Other than that, though, looking pretty strong to a potential 9-0 season and perhaps a collision course with Glenbard West, who you will see coming up in one of our later previews. So, as always, you can get me at Skylar iPrep, at Eric iPrep. Tell Eric how wrong he is because he loves that. And again, check us out on the message boards. Tell us what you're thinking because whatever you're saying, that's what we want to respond to on the show. Until next time, you're watching IllinoisPrep.com's high school football season previews.